So you were betrayed. Someone that you loved, cared for, and really trusted did something that seems completely left field, that did not take your feelings into account. It seemed like they did not reciprocate the same care and love that you gave to them. And ultimately, you were the one that ended with the poop end of the stick, as in you were the one that seemed to be left on your butt due to their betrayal. You're the one that seemed to be really hurt, even though in your eyes it seems like you did your best to be the best person, the best friend, the best lover, the best partner, whatever it was to them. And it seems like they just threw you to the side as if they never cared about you in the first place. Same. Uh, I have been going back and forth with myself on if I wanted to talk about this because it's been a few months now, and I've gone through a lot of healing and I've ruminated over this a bunch. But also, like, I don't want to come off as if I'm petty or like I am just trying to put somebody's business out there or whatever it is. But I recognize for myself, like, I'm me. And my thing is, I'm a healer and I tell my story. And if you're in my life, then you are a part of my story. But it is up to you to determine if that story is good or bad. I have a tendency to take responsibility, sole responsibility for pretty much everything. And I give everyone the benefit of the doubt. And I'm always looking from other people's perspectives more than my own. And so that's how this story unfolded. And that's what I really want to talk about is this betrayal that I went through in hopes that, you've gone through something similar and that it can help you get some clarity on your situation and just feel seen and heard in a way that brings you some peace and some closure and some healing that you're not getting from the other person, to know that you're not alone. But also, after I tell the story, talking about how I'm navigating the healing process, what I've gone through, and the conclusions that I've come to because of it. So hopefully it can give you that same type of peace that I've been building for myself ever since it happened. So if you do not know me, my name is Nia Love. I talk about, oh God, personal development, self-love, relationships, and all of those things. I have a million courses and books and master classes and things about emotional control, trauma healing, all of those things down below. Healing from a breakup, it's in the link in the description. So check them out if you want any more deeper things, deeper lessons and teachings from me. Ah, I burnt my tongue a little bit. Oh God. I also want to say that I was trying to record another video this week, and I think I just like overthought it and overplanned it too much to the point where I just didn't even want to record it anymore. So all of this is straight off the dome. I really did not plan this at all beforehand. So please give me some grace as I do my best to long form without a plan, right? This is new for me. So, beginning with the story. There was a friend that I had for about 2 years. Um, and she was going through a hard time. She was going through a breakup in the middle of trying to get out of the lease in her apartment because they were staying together, and she was in between jobs. So she couldn't really afford to handle the lease by herself anymore. Going through all of these things, just going through a rough transition in her life. So without her even having to ask, I offered her to, come stay with me and my husband. We have an extra room in our house. It's just me and him. Um, and she can stay with us until she gets, while she gets back on her feet. And we went into the entire experience on the same page. Like, all three of us communicated. I know for me, having a woman move into the house was difficult for me, not because I don't trust my husband and not because I did not trust her by any means, but because I grew up with my father, who was a compulsive cheater. Like, even being like 6, 8, 10 years old, watching him cheat on his wives, and bringing me around his side pieces. And even my mom was telling me about a situation where her and my dad invited another woman into their home to live with them, and he ended up sleeping with the woman. So I already have some trauma, not just, from anything that's happened to me per se, but generational trauma of watching my parents go through it that made me weary about the situation. But once again, it wasn't because I did not trust my husband or that I did not trust his friend. I just had some deep subconscious wounds that I needed to work through. So her moving into the home was already putting a strain on me. However, I took that as this is an opportunity for me to heal. This is an opportunity for me to communicate. Like, we had many deep conversations about this between the three of us, just getting integrated and getting acclimated to her being in the home and all of those things. So we were working through it, but I will not lie and say that it did not put a strain on just my internal peace and my our marriage, our relationship, and even our friendship, as we were learning how to navigate it. But we were being adults about it, and we were continuing to navigate it and all of those things, right? So she was with us for 3 months. And during these 3 months, I was cooking dinner damn near every night for all three of us. We never really we never asked her of anything, meaning like we never asked her for money or to help out per se, because we understood that she was going through a hard time. She was trying to save up money to pay off, her apartment and all of these things. She was still trying to look for a job. Great, right? So towards the final month of her living here, she had already gotten a job. She was getting, paychecks. She had gotten at least two paychecks at this point, and Jamal and I were sitting back and, letting her at least, pay off her apartment. She had paid off her apartment. She had gotten other money from like random little places and all of these things, had gotten consistent paychecks, all of that. And then we started to see her go out all of the time, several times a weekend, go out every night that weekend, or like eat out all of the time, spend money on other things without ever offering to give us anything. Now, we don't like to just read other people's pockets, right? And we were very understanding. We knew that she was going through a hard time. So we were thinking, okay, maybe when she gets back on her feet a little bit more, maybe there's some more things that she has to handle. Then she'll offer, to help us out or whatever it is. But, some weeks went by of us just kind of like sitting back and observing and just seeing, giving her the benefit of the doubt, seeing what she would do. And we recognized that she wasn't going to help. And I understand if we were in a really good spot, but Jamal and I were actually going through a difficult financial time where the hot water was off. Like, our gas bill was behind. So the hot water was off and we were at risk of the electricity getting turned off. She knew about these things. You can see, if you're living here, you can see that the hot water isn't on, right? You can see that the electricity was off for a day. Like, you can see that we're going through a hard time, and yet she still comes home to a home cooked meal that she doesn't have to pay for, a room that she doesn't have to pay for. She was running a business in our studio downstairs. So she was having clients and making money in a space that she did not have to pay for. And so she saw all of this was going on, and yet she still did not help. And so after a while, it was threatening my peace because I was starting to build a little bit of resentment, watching her, go through life and go out and have fun and spend money and drink and, come back and, be here, run her business, on all of those things while we're struggling. And I can't even afford to go out and do all of those things because partially because she's here and we're spending our extra money accommodating for the extra food that we have to buy to feed her, and the extra money that goes into the bills of having an extra person in our house. So yeah, let me get a sip of tea. So after a while, after a couple weeks of sitting back and just seeing what she would do, my husband and I, Jamal, we sat her down for dinner one day and we asked her, hey, do you have a plan? As in, like, do you plan on moving out? Do you plan on helping out around the house? And also putting in there that she didn't help clean either. So that was a thing. But are you going to help out around the house? Like, are you going to start giving us money? Like, what's the plan? And she was honest in saying that she had no plan. That honestly, she was planning to live here indefinitely. She hadn't really thought about it or really figured it out, nor did she really come up with a plan to pay us or help out or even just pay for her part. You know what I'm saying? In the money that we were using to take care of her specifically, there was no intent behind helping us take care of her in any way. And in that same token, she mentioned that she was also planning on going on a retreat. So you guys know retreats aren't free, nor are they cheap. But she had already like planned and booked a retreat that she was going on this month. And she did all of that before even thinking about helping the people that were helping her. So that's when I really like snapped. And I don't mean snapped at her, but something internally snapped in me. Like, damn. Like, you didn't think about us at all. Like, I put myself, my peace, my marriage, our financial state, my time in feeding and taking care of you, like my space of inviting strangers into my home so you could run, your business, and you would pay for a retreat before you even think to help us. So that's when it kind of snapped for me. And I was explaining to her over dinner, but yet still I didn't raise my voice. I didn't do anything like that. I still over dinner was just like, hey, I will be honest in saying that this is starting to build resentment within me, because I just feel like the care and the love that I've given to you without you ever having to ask, because I invited her to live here without her having to ask. If she ever needed money in the past, like I've given her hundreds of dollars before, not counting those things, because that's just not the type of person I am. It's not a tit for tat thing, but just I love you and I see that you're going through a hard time and I got it, so you got it too. You're my friend type of thing. But I was noticing that that wasn't reciprocated, and that was very painful for me. It was robbing me of my peace. And we tried to talk to her about it over dinner that day, but when we asked her, how do you feel about it? What are your thoughts? She just said that she's shutting down. She just said that she's shut down. And then she went into her room, and we didn't talk to her for the rest of the night or that morning. So I sent her a text, and I'm the type of person where I'm thinking, okay, maybe talking to her in person was just a lot. Maybe she needs to like get a text so she can read it and like really sit on it, meditate on it, analyze it, really see how she feels, and then come back to us to actually have the conversation. And plus, also, it's easier for me to communicate in a text because I'm able to like make sure that my feelings aren't getting involved, but also just making sure that I can read over it and make sure that I'm communicating it in the best way as possible. Like, me as a person, I try really, 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 really hard to be very careful about the way that I communicate, but also to look from everybody's perspective and be extremely understanding of others. So when I was putting together this text, I was very, very intentional about what I was saying and how I was saying it, right? So in this text, I explained very clearly, and I'm a very blunt, straightforward person. I like to give it to people raw. I don't like to tiptoe around things. Now, if they take it personally, if that hurts their feelings, I just feel like it's going to sound so bad, but that's not a me problem, because it's not like I'm directly insulting anybody. I'm simply laying down the facts. Hi, here are the facts of what you did, and here is how I feel about what you did. It was like, okay, the way that I explained it to you guys, you did this, and this. And I feel very hurt by this. I know I literally said this. I know you're not trying to be malicious, and I've been trying to be understanding of what you're going through because I know that you're going through a lot. I literally said that in the text message, guys. I know that you're going through a lot. I know that you're not being malicious. However, this is very painful for me because I've had a past history of dealing with friendships where I felt like I was giving more than the other person, or I cared more than the other person. So this is a very triggering experience for me. And I will be honest in saying I don't know how to navigate it. This has robbed me of so much of my peace that I don't even know how to navigate the friendship moving forward. I don't know what to do, but I would love some space. I said, can you please go stay? She had been staying with another couple that were our friends frequently, especially because we didn't have hot water. So she was taking a shower and spending more time over there than really she had been here in like weeks. So I was like, hey, can you just go spend like a week over there? Just go spend the rest of the week over there. And maybe we can reconvene and have a conversation about this afterwards, right? So she comes home after she gets off work and she gets all of her things and she doesn't say anything and she leaves. That was like a Monday. On Friday, we hadn't heard anything from her. And the first thing she does is send a text saying that she's coming to get all of her stuff, that she's moving out. And I texted her back and I was like, hey, so there's no apology, there's no there's like no response. Like, I feel like I put everything out there and I communicated how I feel to you, and you're just gonna throw our friendship away like that. And she was basically saying she's not about to beg and plead to be somebody's friend, and she has no reason to apologize to me, and that me telling her to leave was me trying to punish her and make her go think about what she did to appease my feelings. And I didn't quite understand. I'll be honest in saying I didn't get it. Myself, I pride myself on communication. So the fact that she did not communicate at all after I've tried to have this conversation with her twice, and her conclusion is to just move out and not be friends anymore without ever communicating anything, was extremely hurtful. And I'll be honest in saying she was going through a similar situation with a family member where she was trying to communicate how what they did, like some of their actions, hurt her and how it made her feel. And they completely invalidated her, ignored her, and basically said it was her fault. And I brought that up in like, hey, you know how you were going through this with this family member and how that made you feel? That's exactly how you're making me feel right now. How can you not understand how I'm feeling when you're feeling the same way about somebody else? And she took that as me trying to throw her trauma in her face. When I was looking for understanding. So the conversation just ended. She came and got her stuff. And a few days later, she sent me and my husband this very long text, this like book, much longer than the text that I sent her, right? And in this text, she called me manipulative. She called me controlling. She called my husband passive. She said that I only do things that's convenient for me, that I was never a friend, that I did not care about her. And in this text message, she never acknowledged my feelings. She never acknowledged the role that she played. She did not take responsibility or accountability for absolutely anything. There was not a single apology, nothing. She didn't say anything about the role that she played at all. She just used this entire text message to drag me down, drag my husband down, and call us all sorts of names. And y'all, like, I'm trying so hard to be very objective here, because I want you to understand that everything that I'm telling you right now is facts. Like, this is the factual of what happened. Like, I'm not putting my emotions into it right now. And I hope that y'all can really see and feel that I'm not trying to make this about me or make this about my emotions by any means. I'm just being factual in the fact of, she did call me those things, and she did not take any type of accountability or responsibility, and she did not try to at all see it from my perspective. And that was in the text message that I read, you know. So my husband, you know, he sent her a text message basically taking accountability for his part that he played, saying that, you know, he never should have even invited her into the home, knowing that everything was not completely stable on our end. However, we discussed that we were going to be a team, that we were going to go through these hard times that all of us were going through together, and that we were going to grow together and push through together. So that was the mentality. And he just felt like he was betrayed in that when it came down to it, she chose herself over us, you know? So by her doing that, we had no choice but to choose ourselves over her. And it wasn't even that, we didn't even kick her out. You know what I'm saying? We just asked for space, and she chose to leave herself. But he took complete accountability and responsibility, and just was honest about how he did not appreciate that she would paint me to be this evil, manipulative, controlling person that never cared about her, when I've done everything to be the best friend that I could possibly be, and be as understanding and as communicative and as giving as I possibly could be. And she just took it full advantage of that and chose to spin that around and use that as an attack towards us. So eventually I ended up having a conversation with the two friends that she went to go stay with. And what I gathered from the conversation, like, we got on the phone and I was talking to the woman, and I was very receptive in that, hey, I'm trying to be understanding. I'm trying to look at it from all sides. I'm trying not to get emotional here. And I was being very listening. I was listening and I was understanding. And I was also taking responsibility. I had apologized to the friend. I had already apologized to her, because I know that me telling her to go stay somewhere else, I know that that was hurtful, and I know that that was out of the blue. So I apologized for that. And that was before she sent the long text not taking accountability. I literally already apologized to her, and I took accountability for the part that I played. I took accountability for the part that I played in the initial text message that I sent her. You know that what I'm saying? So I sat on this phone and I was talking to, you know, the other friend, as she was explaining the other woman's side of the story. And I was receptive and I was apologetic. And I said, okay, what about me? You know, because, you know, you guys have been over there with this friend. You've been getting her entire side of the story. If she painted me as this evil person to me, I can't even imagine what she's saying to y'all. So how come no one's come to me and asked for my side of the story? Like, I'm not going to give my side of the story to people who don't want to hear it. And she was saying that she does want to hear my side of the story. So when I told her everything that I told you guys, she was acting like this was the first time that she had heard it. And I was confused, because if she had read the text message that I sent, I literally laid out all of the facts of, you did this, and this. And this is exactly how I feel. But when I was telling the other friend this, it seemed like, oh, that's what happened. But I literally said that's what happened. Like, you guys have been painting me like I'm this evil person, like I'm so inconsiderate, like I did not care about anybody else in this situation, that I was only thinking about myself, and that I was being such an awful friend. You guys were painting me as this person, but I literally laid out to you exactly why I was feeling what I was feeling and what I was feeling. I did nothing but try to communicate this entire time. So why am I being painted as this such an evil person? So me and this other friend, like, we concluded, she asked if I could ever be friends with the other girl. And I said, you know, I'm not sure, because up until this point, she has yet to take any type of responsibility. And I don't know if that's the type of friend that I want. Um, but me and the other friend decided to continue being friends. But after we got off the phone, I really sat and thought with myself. And I was like, I don't want to. I don't want to be friends with any of you, because I know who I am. And I feel like after the 2 years that we have all been friends, it seems like y'all have no idea who I am. And I feel like I've been very understanding and trying to figure out how to best serve everybody in the situation, take responsibility, and own up to my mistakes. But I don't feel that same energy being reciprocated towards me. And as much as I've tried to see others, I don't feel seen or heard or understood. And so, if anything, I have to see me and I have to understand me. And me, I don't want this anymore. I don't want to be friends. And she was receptive, and that was it. We've seen each other since. I waved, slight smirk. It's cool, but yeah. So that's the story. I have not heard anything from either of them. I haven't heard anything from the friend that was staying with me. She still has yet to take any responsibility, any accountability, any type of apology, or anything at all. And it's been almost 3 months, 3 months now. So that was a lot. That was a lot. And this is hard for me because, again, I'm such a very understanding person that I really, really try not to hurt anybody else. And I try not to put anybody else in compromising positions. However, I've learned a lot in this experience, and that's what I want to share. So let's talk about what I've learned. The first thing that I've learned is that I cannot allow anyone to take my voice away from me. I cannot allow anyone to take my voice away from me. I've tried so hard to not talk about this to anyone because I don't want anyone to look at them badly. I don't want anyone to develop any type of opinion that goes against these people. Not even my friends. Like, I really try to not talk about it. But in doing so, it's really robbed me of my own voice. Because I'm the type of person where I talk about things. I'm extremely communicative. And I also use my stories as healing opportunities for others. So because I was trying so hard to protect other people, I let them rob my voice away from me. And you may be very understanding of that, where you try to protect others so much that you don't protect yourself, that you don't protect your own right to be heard, that you don't protect your own right to be seen. And that's another thing that I learned. I can't see someone so much that I don't see myself. I can't understand someone so much that I forget to understand myself. I can't be so understanding towards others that I don't offer myself that same understanding and that same compassion. I know for me that I have a tendency, I've always been so caring of others. And that comes from a history of being invalidated as a child, and my feelings always being overlooked my perspective always being overlooked, and people taking my feelings and always making it about them, taking my feelings and making it personal, whether it was because I was depressed and I was thinking about running away, and my mother taking it personally, and not actually seeing the pain that I was going through, but rather just ignoring it because she doesn't want to address her own dealings with, her parenting, or whether it was just like having friends where I've been stabbed in the back so much. When it comes to friendships, I've been stabbed in the back so much, and I blame myself because I'm the common denominator, right? But it's because I allow people to do so. Or in the past, I allowed people to take advantage of me. I was so loving and caring and understanding towards other people. And even when that wasn't being reciprocated, I still offered so much love and understanding. But it's because I was so used to neglecting myself. I was so used to being overlooked that I got into a pattern of overlooking myself. And obviously that pattern was showing up in my relationships where, especially in this situation, I was being so understanding of what she was going through, the hard times that she was enduring, the bills that she had to pay, and all of those things, that I was not taking my own self into consideration. And even in that, I was validating her feelings and like trying to understand, like, maybe she's not helping out because she's using that money towards other things. Maybe she's not helping out because she's going through a hard time. Maybe she's going out and partying all the time because she's going through a hard breakup. Maybe she's planning this retreat because she really needs to. Whatever it was, I was trying so hard to be understanding from their perspective that I didn't take my own self into consideration. Even when I was on the phone with the other friend, I was being so understanding of their perspective that it just seemed like my perspective did not matter. And I know that I have a tendency to do that. And for me, what I realize that I need friends that are naturally going to seek understanding. I need friends that are going to seek understanding because I am the friend that seeks understanding. And yes, I know that I have to start understanding myself and standing up for myself, which I will get to in a moment. But in that same token, I need people that are going to seek to understand me. Because it really hurt. I feel like betrayal, the definition of betrayal is when I invite you into my safety and you use my vulnerability as weapons against me. Betrayal is when you invite someone into your safety, into your mind, into your home, into your emotions, into your insecurities and your traumas, and they use that against you. What wasn't painful, the painful part wasn't even that she did not offer to pay for anything, even though that did hurt. The most painful part was that when I tried to be vulnerable, when I tried to communicate, when I tried to be the best friend that I could be and express how I was feeling, she took everything that she had seen, the ins and outs of me and my husband's relationships, the ins and outs of all of the insecurities that I was having and the hardships and the traumas that I was working through. And she threw them back at me in the form of calling me manipulative and controlling and calling him passive and that I didn't care and all of these things. And that's what hurt the most. That was the biggest betrayal. Is that I offered someone so much understanding and I was not given that in return. Even to this day, even after months of thinking about it and meditating on it, because I know I still have not been offered any type of understanding. So the thing that I learned is when people refuse to understand me, I will understand me. When people refuse to understand me, I will make sure that I am understood by understanding me. I am tired of overlooking the way that I feel. I'm not doing that anymore. And one habit that I've been getting into is trusting my gut. Trusting my gut. I feel like throughout this entire friendship, I was trying really hard. I know that I have a hard time with friends. And so I was taking responsibility for that and trying really hard to be the best friend that I could be, showing up in this friendship in ways that I have not shown up in past friendships, trying to make sure that I really see it through, that I really work through the problems, that I really try to communicate, and that I really try to be the best friend that I could possibly be. I understood. But in doing so, I neglected to see myself because I was taking sole responsibility for everything that was happening. Those friends that stabbed me in the back and betrayed me in the past, that wasn't all my fault. I'm not saying that I did not play any part in it, because my friendships, my relationships are a reflection of some insecurities within me that I have to heal and that I have to work through. But I was trying to. I have been actively trying to address those things, actively taking responsibility, actively taking accountability. And yet, others were not doing the same. So at some point, I have to take responsibility for the part that I play, but I also cannot let that overshadow. I also cannot let that overshadow the responsibility that others had in the situation as well. Just because I have some responsibility in the demise does not mean that I have all the responsibility. And in the sake of being understanding, I overlooked any responsibility that they had, and I put all of the weight and all of the pressure on myself for the sake of being understanding. So one lesson that I learned is that I'm never doing that shit again. I'm never doing that shit again. There is balance between understanding others and understanding myself. There is balance between understanding others and understanding myself. And that is the balance that I found in that situation. That is the balance that you're going to have to find in this betrayal, because I know if you're anything like me, you took a lot of this personally. You turned a lot of this inward. Maybe you were angry and you turned a lot of it outward as well. And that's also out of balance. Because I know that this did, after I felt sad, I was pissed. I was very, very, very angry. Very angry. But I did not take that out on anyone. I still reflected that back in. But whether you're in the extreme of taking all the responsibility and turning all of that inward, or reflecting all of that outward and taking your anger out on others, there's a balance in the between where you can acknowledge the part that they played and acknowledge the part that you played and find peace. I understand the part that I played, but I also understand that I did the best that I could, and I stand by every decision that I made. Just because my decisions, this is another thing that I learned, just because my decisions hurt others does not mean that they were wrong. Just because my decisions hurt others does not mean that they were wrong. Other people will try to paint you as the enemy in their story, but the thing is that there's two sides to every story. And if they neglect to not only see your point of view on top of their point of view, then that is very short-sighted of them. You have to be able to honor the fact that two truths can exist at the same time. Just because I took actions, completely valid actions, I took completely valid actions, and I understand that they hurt you. However, that does not make me the bad guy. I had to do what was best for me, just like you were doing what was best for you. And I understand that that may have hurt you. However, I was hurting. So why can you not see that both of us could be hurting at the same time? I feel like growing up, we are taught that there's good and evil. There's the bad guy, there's the antagonist, and there's the protagonist. But in real life, things just aren't that black and white. There is nothing that is inherently good or bad. You both can be completely valid and the hurt that you are causing each other. And maturity is understanding that there are two sides to every story. There are two valid sides to every story. And in the same way that you are asking for understanding and compassion, you also have to offer that same compassion and understanding to others. Because just because it's your perspective does not mean that you are all right. Just because that you are the one that are hurting does not mean that they are the ones that are the enemy. Just because you are the one that's hurting does not mean that you are the victim. It just means that there are two different perspectives. And I had to realize that people who do not honor the fact that I also have a perspective, that do not offer me understanding, these are not the people that I need in my life. Because I know me as a person, I'm always going to try to see the other perspective because I understand that there are two truths. But if you feel like you are so valid in your truth that you cannot see that I am also living in my truth, then that's a problem. That is an imbalance in the relationship that I personally do not deserve. I don't want that type of relationships in my life. So I learned to honor my perspective and only trust people that also honor my perspective. Let me take a sip because that was a lot. Another thing that I learned is to trust my gut. So I touched on this earlier, but I know that I have a tendency to give people the benefit of the doubt so much that I ignore my gut feelings. I have a tendency to give people the benefit of the doubt so much that I ignore my gut feelings. There have been multiple instances since this has happened where other people have tried to become my friend. And I'm not an asshole, okay? I promise I'm not an asshole. But this experience taught me that I have to be extremely selective about the people that I let into my space. And that's not just into my home, that's into my mind, that's into my energy, that's into my creativity, that's into my time, my money. I have to be extremely selective about who I let into my aura, even into my mental space and my mental capacity, my emotional capacity. So I'm extremely picky with who I allow into my life. And even though people could not have done anything wrong to me, does not mean that they deserve space in my life. Just because someone did not do something wrong to me does not mean that they deserve space in my life. I feel like we're quick to give everybody access to us simply because they have not done anything specifically to hurt us or to be declined of that access. We think just because they're not a bad guy, that it's okay for them to be in our space. But they can be a good guy and still not deserve to have access to us. They could be a good guy and we still not grant them access to us. So, one thing that I have been practicing for myself is recognizing that if I don't feel drawn to someone, if I do not feel an energetic pull towards someone, I am not going to gaslight myself and forcing myself to be their friend or to be in their energy or to give them access to me. Even if it's neutral, like I could just not care about being their friend and still I'm not going to give you access to me. It's not personal. It's not personal by any means. It's nothing against that person. I'm not saying that they're wrong. I'm not saying that they're bad. I'm not saying that they're evil or anything like that. They could be amazing people. But one thing that I've learned to do is trust my intuition and my gut. I should want to talk to you. I should want to create with you. I should want to spend time with you. And if I do not have that pull and that tug, then I'm going to listen to that regardless of who you are. I don't care if you a Buddhist monk. I don't care if you're Mother Teresa and won a Nobel Peace Prize. If I don't feel that pull and that tug towards you, then I'm not going to give you access to me. And that is an example of trusting myself. Trusting myself and trusting my own intuition. Not everybody is for you. This is not Burger King, okay? This ain't some drive-through restaurant. I am not some fast food restaurant where anybody can come through and get whatever they need from me. This is some top tier luxury stuff, invite only. Right? Let me get a sip. So let me clarify in that this situation did not force me to put up a wall. What you're seeing is not a wall. It is a gate. What you're seeing is not a wall. It is a gate. This is not an open field where everybody has access to me, and it is not a wall where I keep everybody out. It is a gate where I trust myself and trust my intuition enough to really meditate on who I should allow in and out. So one thing that I've been doing is just being extremely, incredibly intentional without closing myself off, while still having my heart open and ready and available to those who I deem are energetically worthy of my heart. Because I am the prize. I am the prize. No one is going to love me and respect me the way that I do myself. Okay? Not even my husband. Not saying that people cannot love me and respect me, because my husband does tenfold. However, I should always love me more than anybody loves me. And I expect the same from others. Therefore, I have to protect me, and I expect others to do the same. I expect others to do the same. Push me out. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you feel like I don't deserve to be in your space, tell me. That's fine. I'm not going to take it personally, because I know it has nothing to do with me and everything to do with our energies just not aligning. Sometimes magnets just repel each other. Ain't nothing wrong with the magnets. They're not broken. They just don't go together. And that's okay. So I've been extremely protective over my energy and over my space. And that's where the balance comes in. Never again will I neglect myself, will I ignore my gut feelings, where I be so understanding of others, so much so that I'm not understanding of my damn self. Never again. I am valid. Say it with me. I am valid. Do not let anybody try to invalidate you. Do not let anybody try to invalidate you. Regardless of how you feel and how you act upon those feelings, you were valid in it, or else you would have never done it. Now, I'm not saying go around and intentionally hurt people, okay? What I'm saying is, if you know that your heart is pure and you know that you did your best with what you had, you know that you showed up and that you communicated and you loved and you cared to your best ability, then stand on that. Stand on that. Don't invalidate yourself simply because someone's trying to invalidate you out of their own hurt. Their pain is not your responsibility. Their pain is not your responsibility. In the same way that she hurt me when she did not offer to help me take care of her, the same way that I felt betrayed, the same pain, the same peace that she took away from me, she didn't take any responsibility for. She didn't take not a single lick of responsibility for. I'm the one that had to deal with my own feelings because of her actions. Same. Keep that same energy. Because the actions that I took were completely valid. They came from a place of me protecting myself. So however you feel about them, that has nothing to do with me. In the same way that I had to address the way that you made me feel, you have to address within yourself how I made you feel. But instead of taking that and addressing it within herself, she projected it right back onto me, made it my responsibility and my fault that I was this evil person. And I learned that that is not the way to treat people. That is not the way to treat people. Your feelings are your own responsibility in the same way that their feelings are their responsibility. That does not mean that you do not communicate, and that does not mean that their actions did not lead you to feeling some type of way. However, that does not warrant you a reason to take your feelings out on somebody else. Your feelings are yours to deal with. My feelings were mine to deal with, and I tried very hard not to take them out on somebody else because I understand that my feelings are not their fault. However, that does not mean that I don't hold you accountable or responsible for your actions. I learned that I can hold someone accountable and responsible for their actions without taking my feelings out on them, without making them responsible for my feelings. I can make sure that you are responsible for your actions without being responsible for my feelings. I don't need you to apologize for hurting my feelings. I need you to apologize for the actions that you took. Take responsibility for the actions that you took and recognize how they made me feel. I don't need you to make me feel better. I just need to know that you're mature enough to see the part that you played in our demise. The part that you played in the hurt. I don't need you to kiss it, make it better. I just need you to recognize what you did and learn from your mistakes so that you don't do them again for our relationship to move forward. That is maturity. That is how you handle a relationship. And that's how I want all of my relationships to operate moving forward. That is how I know for myself that this is a lesson that I've learned. I can go back to this video and watch it and know for sure that this lesson is embedded in my brain and in my spirit for the times that people try to invalidate me or make me responsible for the way that they feel. This is a reminder to myself. This is a reminder to myself that just because I am accountable for my actions, I am not accountable for their feelings. And they can hold me accountable for my actions, but they better not take their feelings out on me, because that's not fair. In the same way that you're going to deal with your feelings, I'm going to deal with mine. And we can address our own feelings independently while also taking responsibility and understanding where the other person is coming from. If anything, this taught me conflict resolution skills for sure. So, okay. I feel like I've milked this. I feel like I've milked this dry. I feel like I've gotten everything out. Let me meditate for a second. Yeah, I feel like I got everything out that I needed to. And I just want to say that I'm really fucking proud of myself. I'm extremely proud of myself for talking about this and putting it out there, but also not stifling myself. Y'all, this was extremely healing and extremely freeing because it's out there now. I finally have fully talked through how I feel and what I've learned and what I've processed. The crazy thing and the most annoying thing is that even though I feel like I've been actively working through this, she's still been popping up in my dreams. Like, I've been having dreams where she comes back into our house and tries to move her stuff back in, but still doesn't take any type of responsibility or accountability. Or she tries to come back in my life and still tries to accuse me or put all of the responsibility onto me without ever acknowledging how I feel or acknowledging my pain. This has been dreams that I have been having. And I recognize that that is my subconscious processing it, in ways that maybe I haven't been doing in my waking life. But I really hope that me doing this has processed it. Set me free, please. Like, I'm tired of dreaming about this girl, okay? I'm tired of her even taking any piece of my energy or any piece of my time or any piece of my thought, any piece of my peace anymore. I genuinely don't feel like she deserves it. I want to give that thought energy, that emotional energy. I want to give my time and my peace. I want to give those things to people who fill me back up. I'm tired of pouring myself into an empty cup. Even though she's not around, it feels like I'm pouring myself into an empty cup every time she comes into my mind. And if you've been betrayed, then you're likely experiencing the same things. Okay? Like, you're still experiencing that anger and that frustration every time their face pops up in your head, or every time you hear their name, every time you think about them. And it pisses you off even more because they don't deserve it. So I hope that listening to this video and me validating you, me helping you understand what you were supposed to learn, helping you understand that you need to trust yourself and trust your perspective, and that you're not the bad guy. Even if they tried to paint you as that, they're not the bad guy either. Nobody's the bad guy. There is peace in understanding that every perspective is valid. And now that we understand all perspectives, now you can make a very solid decision in knowing that them leaving your life or you walking away from them was a great decision. Because you're not walking away from anger. You're not walking away from resentment. You're not walking away from pain or sadness. You're walking away from clarity, from peace, from understanding. That is what is going to truly set you free. So I really hope that this video helped give you the clarity and the peace that you needed to really set yourself free and stand firm in your decision. So I'm proud of you for even making it this far and working through this with me. Let's heal together. Okay? I love you so much. I'll see you next time.